So as you can see, I mean, the Bank of Japan and the whole world financial system is between a rock and a hard place after over a decade of easy money. So Mr. Ueda has the choice to save the yen and destroy everything else, destroy the whole global financial system, bring the system to its knees, or he could keep trashing the yen. Thursday, April 6, 2023, Maneko 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today we're going to look at Japan and specifically the Bank of Japan. I think not just me, but many people think we could see trouble ahead for the global financial markets, not just in Japan. So that's what we're going to look at today. Before I start, seeing that it's the first round of the Masters golf tournament today, and some of you might not be interested at all, but some of you might. And even if you're not interested in golf, I think this book here, The Masters, Golf, Money, and Power in Augusta, Georgia, by Kurt Sampson, is a great read. It was published in 1998. I highly recommend it. So there's a book recommendation, a little different. Bit of mix of sports, power, and money. What does it say here? The Masters Golf Tournament weaves a hypnotic spell. Yes, it is a bit of bread and circus, but there you go. It is the toughest ticket in sports, with black market tickets selling for $10,000 and more. I would probably say it's a lot more now. It's more like $20,000. Success at Augusta National breeds legends, while failures can overshadow even the most brilliant of careers. Think of Greg Norman. As it is the only major golf tournament to return to the same site year after year, much of the fascination is historical. But as Kurt Sampson, author of best-selling Hogan, reveals in The Masters, a cold heart beats behind the warm antebellum facade of this famous Augusta course. And that heart belongs to the man who killed himself on the grounds 2 decades ago. Club tournament founder Clifford Roberts, a New York stockbroker, still seems to run the place from his grave. So there you go. Really interesting stuff. Cliff Roberts was a close friend of Bobby Jones, the greatest golfer arguably ever, I would say. Bobby Jones won the Grand Slam, so the U.S. Open, British Open, U.S. Amateur, and British Amateur in 1930, all in the same year, and then retired at age 28. And he went to found Augusta National Golf Club with Clifford Roberts, who brought the money from Wall Street. And it's interesting that the first Masters was played in 1934. The year after Executive Order 6102. I wonder if Clifford Roberts knew about what was coming in 1934 with the revaluation as well, if it helped him to make a bit of a killing. He was a stockbroker, who knows. But yesterday as well was the 90th anniversary of Executive Order 6102. So there you go. And what's that executive order? Well, it was the one that made Americans hand in their gold coins. It basically made it illegal to hold constitutional money. So quite interesting developments there. And you might be thinking, will it happen again? Gold confiscation, anything's possible. And if you are concerned about that in the US, you can always contact ITM Trading and Lynette Zeng's team there. They are specialists in this topic, and they will also help you protect your wealth through precious metals, through collector's coins. And yeah, give them a call. All the details below in the description. So back to the Bank of Japan. So we've got a new governor of the Bank of Japan taking over on the 9th of April. He's an academic. It's a first for the Bank of Japan. I think the guy that was tipped to become the governor, he didn't want to have anything to do with it. It's kind of like a poison chalice taking over the Bank of Japan. His name, though, is Kazuo Ueda. So I think you're going to be hearing about that name very soon, and a lot. And before I start talking about Japan here, and it's not just me here that is focusing on Japan, even the mainstream financial press is looking at Japan. I wanted to let you know that I have a playlist because I've been covering this. I've been warning people for over 5 years about this situation. And the playlist is called the Japanese Yen Carry Trade and Abenomics. Yes, the former Prime Minister Abe, he instituted Abenomics in 2013, and he had Kuroda, the current BOJ governor, along with him, playing ball, keeping the yen weak, printing loads of money, controlling, manipulating Japanese government bond yields. That's what they've been doing. So yeah, I've got 22 videos there, and I'm going to put this one in the playlist as well. So if you want to learn more about what Abenomics and the yen carry trade really is, go to my playlist. I think we're coming to the culmination of things. Where are we going to start? Well, let's start with this article here from Bloomberg, and came out March 30th. It says, a $1 trillion threat to global financial markets looms in Japan. Japan's super easy monetary policy sent a flood of domestic money overseas. Investors are bracing for what comes next. Bank of Japan Governor Haruhiko Kuroda changed the course of global markets when he unleashed $3.4 trillion fire hose of Japanese cash on the investment world. Now Kazuo Ueda is likely to dismantle his legacy, setting the stage for a flow reversal that risks sending shockwaves through the global economy. Yeah, and this is what the Japanese yen carry trade is all about. For over 10 years, foreign investors as well have been borrowing in yen because it's always very cheap, and the currency has been, well, the currency has dropped from, you could fetch 80 yen for a dollar, like back in 2012, 2011, just before Abenomics was instituted, and now you can fetch 133 or 136 yen. So the yen has gone downhill, and what the yen carry trade means is that you borrow in yen, so you're selling yen, and you buy any other currency, and when with those proceeds you buy high yielding assets, and as the yen goes down, the value of your debt in yen becomes worth less. So that's the yen carry trade, but now it looks like it could be unwound. It's not certain, but it is a change of the guard, and it's always tricky when there is a change of the guard. So let's continue. Just over a week before a momentous leadership change at the BOJ, investors are gearing up for the seemingly inevitable end to a decade of ultra-low interest rates that punished domestic savers and sent a wall of money overseas. That's the other thing as well. Japanese savers, huge savers in Japan, they went into US treasuries, Brazilian securities, European securities, all kinds of securities, because they're yielding more. Japan was keeping rates negative. They're punishing savers. The exodus accelerated after Kuroda moved to suppress bond yields in 2016, culminating in a mountain of offshore investments worth more than 2/3 Japan's economy. All the risks unraveling under the new Governor Ueda, who may have little choice but to end the world's boldest easy money experiment, just as rising interest rates elsewhere are already jolting the international banking sector and threatening financial stability. The stakes are enormous. Japanese investors are the biggest foreign holders of US government bonds, and own everything from Brazilian debt to European power stations to bundles of risky loans stateside. I'm going to stop here, but you get the idea of what's happening. And I'm going to put a link to this article in the description under archive.ph because it's behind a paywall, so you can read the whole thing. So are we going to see the next accident? Well, what was the first accident? Well, it was back in September, October, when the UK gilt market almost imploded completely. The defined benefit private pension system almost evaporated down to zero because they were using derivatives, which is another thing that we need to keep an eye on, especially now with what's happening at the Bank of Japan. I have a derivatives play file as well. And what was the second accident? Well, it was 3 months later with all the bank failures in the United States and Switzerland. Yes, Switzerland, Credit Suisse hasn't really technically failed, but it would have if the Swiss government hadn't backed a takeover of UBS with 100 billion of your taxpayers' money for all the Swiss out there. So you might say, well, it looks to be happening every 3 months. Maybe we have to wait till June. Well, you never know. You never know. And I think it's going to be very important to keep an eye on Mr. Kazuo Ueda. That's the name to remember. So there's also going to be a Bank of Japan meeting on April 28th. That's a Friday. That's going to be an important date. And if you remember well, back in December, the Bank of Japan had to start buying JGBs again because Kuroda raised the target rate for the 10-year JGB yield from 25 basis points to 50 basis points. So it's amazing that they're still printing so much money in Japan, but we've also seen the Fed increase its balance sheet recently by almost 400 billion in a week. So yes, Mr. Kazuo Ueda has a tough task ahead, I would say. And now to the Japanese yen, because a lot of people say that Japan is in a deflation. But if you look at the true definition of deflation and inflation, which is first, deflation would be the contraction of the money supply resulting in lower prices. And inflation would be the opposite, right? You increase the currency or the money supply, and generally you get rising prices. Not everything goes up, nor in the deflation does everything go down in price. But if you look at the Japanese yen in terms of gold, or the gold price in Japanese yen, we are at an all-time high of almost 270,000 yen, as you can see here. And the yen has been dropping massively versus gold. So to me, that is the consequence of all this inflation, to keep government bonds artificially low. And why does the Bank of Japan do that and the Japanese government approve such policy? Well, because they're up to here in debt. The national debt of Japan, I think, is about 250% of GDP. And a lot of this debt is now owned by the Bank of Japan. So as you can see, the Bank of Japan and the whole world financial system is between a rock and a hard place after over a decade of easy money. So Mr. Ueda has the choice to save the yen and destroy everything else, destroy the whole global financial system, bring the system to its knees, or he could keep trashing the yen. And as you've seen, the yen is already collapsing versus gold. So that's how I see it. I think we could see trouble ahead from the land of the rising sun. With that, let's quickly look at where the markets are this morning then. It's 8:39 a.m. London time. We've got spot gold trading at 2017.50. It's down about $3. The high has been 2021 and the low has been 2007. Yesterday's high was 2032, so that's That's the highest it's been in a while, of course. The key technical level above would be 2070. I think we've got a double top all-time high there, or all-time low for the dollar. We've got silver down just a cent at 24.91. High's been 25, low has been 24.67. To the stock market indices, we've got the Dow futures up 10, so virtually unchanged. Nasdaq is down 6, and S&P is unchanged, so very quiet. To the currencies, sterling is up an eighth of a percent at 124.77. The euro is unchanged, 109.08. The dollar is down slightly versus the Japanese yen, 131.23. And the dollar is down slightly as well versus the yuan at 687.89. Aussie dollar down 0.2%, 67.06. The dollar is unchanged versus the loonie, 134.60. And the Kiwi dollar is down 0.5% at 62.90. Let's quickly skip over to the commodities. Platinum is up 7, trading around 1,010. WTI crude is down 0.2% at 80.20. And Brent crude is down 0.5% at 84.50. High grade copper is up 0.7% at 402.40. And to finish off, the yield curve, U.S. Treasury yield curve, the 10-year yield is at 328. So that's continued to come off. It's unchanged overnight, but I've noticed it's dropped quite a bit. I think we were in the 340s yesterday. And the 2-year yield is down 5 basis points at 371. So there you go. With that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.